point to some new laws coming our way.
That's a lot of books. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the English language arts is the most expensive, and so we'll be tackling English language arts.
And just, I guess, to address,
No, I'm not saying.
and just to address the decreasing population issue, you know, we just closed the school. We're adding 4 new classrooms in the elementary school, and yes, we are adding science labs, which I'm very proud of. We can't, in my opinion, and again, this follows what the voters voted for and everything else. You know, we can't think narrowly. We have to think, listen, the labs, the plugs are on the floor, they haven't been updated in 20 years. Very proud that we're updating the science labs. And again, we've already got that covered in the budget, that's all set. And the next thing down the pike that I think we're going to have is full-day kindergarten. So we're going to have a space, pre-K, I'm sorry. So we're going to have a space issue immediately. Anybody have any questions? Can I answer any questions?
Mr. Chairman, just bottom line question.
Yes.
What numbers are you looking for in your budget?
So we're looking for, I think that the budget committee and the administrator is pretty close.
The budget committee had a number of $230,181. That was the bottom line. The local appropriation was $20,168,677, but that carried the decrease in state aid and other things. So you're looking to add the $150,000. Is that $150,000 being added to that $20,168,677?
Let me pull it.
Local appropriation.
Yes.
It's on page 12 and 13.
Yep. Yes. Yes, Mr. President.
Any other questions, Mr. Chairman? Mr. Clifford?
Yes, Jim, when I was on the school committee, one year we reconciled the budget, and you used an enormous number for turnover allowance to reconcile the budget, far more than I was willing to go to, and I don't even think the business managers are good. But you wanted to reconcile the budget so you could add positions, and you were going to gamble that the turnover was going to be achieved of 300 and something, close to 300,000, I think it was, wasn't it? 270 or 300,000, yeah. So why then, this year, are you only budgeting $100,000 for turnover allowance? Because you were the big advocate, again, and I voted against it.
I know.
I didn't want to
So that added the math interventionist, which I was very proud of, and that's probably how we went from
So why don't you,
12 to 5.
yeah, so why don't you do the same this year?
I think that was a year where there were a number of people out on maternity leave, so there was a little bit different. But
No, it wasn't. Well, sure, it was your decision, so I'm asking you for the answer.
and I'm telling you, I'm going to get the correct answer. Lisa, I'd like to get one, the financial person.
So last year, we had $217,000 in the turnover allowance. This year, we're starting with $100,000 in the turnover. We made a little bit of an adjustment with that on that sheet that Mr. Mulvady provided you. Also, we did not put any money in there for the negotiations with the support staff. So we expect that that's going to be put into the turnover when those numbers come up.
So how many resignations for retirement purposes have you had since January to December? One certified staff member. But your experience factor with turnover is more significant, correct? You were accruing surpluses of $300,000 to $500,000 in some of the years prior because of the healthcare costs and the turnover.
Well, it was more like $200,000 to $300,000, but that was when we were getting larger increases from state.
I just looked at it today, I thought it was something much higher than 2 or 3. I could be wrong, sorry.
So Lisa, could I ask you, do you feel that we will have a surplus in the current year?
This year, we will probably have about 50,000 or less.
Did you expend money for unbudgeted items to get rid of the surplus before the end of the year? Did you buy things? When I look at the audit report, are the expenditures in the categories going to match the budget, or are the expenditures going to be over the budgeted amount in certain categories?
So the budget itself was developed so early in the year that we very seldom ever fall right within those lines. We're constantly transferring throughout the year. There's too many unknowns.
I'll wait for you. Jim, the second question was, you said we're immediately going to have a space issue with the NSES building. And that was obvious by the report that the consultants gave you, because that was why I didn't support that either, because it put you over the capacity of the building very quickly. The other options all kept you under the capacity in all the buildings. So knowing that you are going to have an issue, and you chose an option that put you over capacity in that building right away, why did you make that decision to support that?
First of all, I didn't say that. I said that if coming down the pike, we believe that there's going to be pre-K issues. They do full day pre-K, we're going to have to find space. Just like Providence is, just like a lot of cities and towns.
That did put you, that option that you selected did put that building at a very high capacity, almost immediately at capacity. Why didn't we opt for a different configuration that would have kept each building under capacity?
So I think we had a public hearing. I'm going to say 100 people probably showed up. 99 of them were in favor of the configuration that we had.
Well,
I think
we really had a cost estimate on the other options.
Okay. I think some of us believe that putting the 8th grade in the high school was not an option. I've been on record from day one that I think that is a horrible idea.
I'd just like to answer that by saying that the state of Massachusetts not only approves that plan, the Department of Education in Massachusetts assigns a transition officer from their staff to assist with the implementation of a reconfiguration of that model. And some of the wealthier communities in Massachusetts have done that with diminishing school populations like we have. But that's just a philosophical.
Probably if we were to build a new high school, that could be an option, but to put them in the high school that we have now, I understand that Massachusetts does do it. I think they build brand new high school. So you got to mix it apples to apples.
And can you explain why you go out to bid on the bus contract?
I agree. Lisa just told me to do it.
Can I ask a question?
Please come to the podium. Can you please come to the podium?
At 440 Buxton Street. So my understanding is that this was a public hearing on the budget. And I think I give you a lot of credit for saying you can talk as long as you want. Please just be respectful. I can't say that was always the case. However, the question should be coming from you people. You are the leadership in this town. You are the people who are going to make the final decision on the budget. There should not be, in my opinion, any kind of back and forth between people up here at the podium to have a conversation with you and other people in the audience who have already had their chance to speak. That's just, I think it's sort of a Robert's Rules of Order on top of a whole bunch of other issues that just don't make sense, especially when the conversation that we're having really doesn't even have anything to do with the budget at hand. Thank you.
So, Mr. Lombardi, I do have a question about the bus transportation for
Yes.
the middle school. It did jump from 207,815 in the adopted budget for FY19 to 291,550. So roughly 40% higher from year over year. Do we anticipate further increases like this? Because this will further impact the budget.
I'm going to make an assumption, but I can get clarification. I assume that that's because we put the 5th grade into the middle school.
So that's exactly it. We divided the transportation last year by the 4 schools, and this year we're dividing it into the 3 schools.
And then,
So that's why the big increase.
okay. And then some of the other, like web-based, other technician services, including web-based software, some of those, is that because things are being moved around, is that aging equipment?
Some of those things were divided by the 4 schools, and now it's down to the 3, so they're going to increase.
Is it possible to get because this is all like paper, I can't sort this real easily. Is it possible to get like an electronic copy or to have a list of what is consolidating from the 4th school down to the 3 schools?
Any other questions? Okay, I'm available if anybody does have any questions.
Anybody else? Before you speak, Mr. Rapco, make sure that no one else wants, Mr. Rapco, before you go again, make sure that nobody else wants to speak again.
No, I looked first. She'll go, I'll try to go.
Hello, I'm Cynthia Roberts, 49 Week Street in town. I just have a comment about one topic, and it has to do with participatory budgeting, and I wanted to put the idea out here for the future. Well, first I have a question, which is this one of 3 sessions that have a public comment opportunity, or 1 of 2 sessions?
I'm not following the question.
How many sessions are there where the public can come and comment on it?
This is it.
This is the only one? Okay.
This is the open for.
The reason why I'm asking that is because at the table where I was sitting, there were several of us, and I overheard someone say, oh, are there 3 of these? Oh no, I think there's 2. So I had no idea. So I think that's a useful thing.
This is the public hearing on the budget.
Just one.
It is the only public
Okay.
hearing on the budget.
Well, that's really helpful because it's extremely related to my comment about participatory budgeting. And it's a consistent comment that I've been it's an observation I've been noticing about different town meetings that residents are trying to be more included in and decision making. And so the group Engage in our Smithfield that I talk about pretty much every time I come up here is trying to find ways to get residents more involved in the decision making in more of a participatory manner versus like one person talks and then one person talks and who are you allowed to talk to and all of that. And I consider Peg Vada a colleague. We both work on the state level in state level data related to youth and health of our communities and of the state. So I appreciate what Peg said about Robert's rules, and this is kind of a counter comment about that, which is there's also a movement in the state right now and across the country for residents to be more involved in a different way in the way we make decisions in our community and communities. And so I would be very interested in exploring with others and with decision makers in the future about possibly piloting a participatory budgeting process. Other communities are doing it, and it's basically, there's a lot of resources online, toolkits that help you know how to do this, and you can get technical assistance on how to do it. And actually the church that I belong to took a more Providence, took a more participatory approach to budgeting this year, where we had multiple meetings during the year where it was educational, so it wasn't like a high stakes meeting where everyone felt like they had to get everything in once. And then it was educational, so the different groups would come and explain about different pieces of the budget. And then there was actually a conversation, like community conversation is like a thing that people are doing now, that Engage in our Smithfield has been doing. And what it does is give people a chance to talk to each other about these issues rather than everything being fighting with each other. And I personally have noticed that Robert's rules basically doesn't allow you to have dialogue, and I know I'm not the only person who feels that way. And so if the goal is to try and get more, I counted and there's about 50 people in the room at the max of when everybody was here, not counting you all, but the people over here. And if we want to get more people to come and participate in the budget conversation, I believe, and I'm studying this and practicing this in my work, that we need to have a more participatory approach to it, because then, I mean, there's a lot of knowledge in the community and there's a lot of process that you all go through during the year. But these meetings constrain our ability to communicate with each other in a way that's actually listening to learn, rather than listening so that you can respond and poke holes through what the last person just said. So I just want it out in the public domain that I am very interested, and I know I'm not the only person, in seeing how we could have a participatory budgeting process for next year. And I can find toolkits online, I can get us technical assistance. I heard that Uxbridge does that. I don't know if that's true or not, but someone mentioned that Uxbridge has been trying to do participatory budgeting. So I would be interested in seeing what that would be like. Thank you.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Are you aware that the school committee has public meetings to discuss their
Yeah.
budget?
Mhm.
Has anyone gone and attended those meetings?
Yeah, well, the thing is that the way our government is functioning in general, it's very fragmented. So like, I'm just one person and I can't make commitments to go to the planning board and the town council and the school and the budget and all of those. So that's why ADJOURN Smithfield is actually trying to get many different people to show up at many different meetings and then engage in conversation in lower stakes ways so that we can learn about each other's perspectives and try and have more dialogue and make decisions that are more collaborative rather than like fighting. And what we hear from people is that the reason they don't like to come to these meetings is that it's very stressful for them. Many, many, many people have told me that they don't like coming to these meetings because it's very stressful. And I feel that part of the stress is that the communication is very one way and it's not friendly. So I think, and it's not just me, this is a trend in the United States, that we need more ways to learn about how government works, and not only like you tell us how it works, but we tell you what we want, and we think about things together. We don't do a lot of thinking together. We do a lot of like reporting out, and then you can talk or you can talk, but it's not really a dialogue. And I would like to see more dialogue, and I'm not only speaking for myself, many people would like to see more dialogue and more approaches that are win-win, not one side and one side. A lot of people are tired of that.
This is an example of a two-way dialogue where we allow people to speak. No one's interrupting anybody. You're allowed to speak freely, whatever you think. My point being was that the school department has multiple meetings that discusses their budget, and I'm sure it's on their agenda every month. You're able to speak to it in every one of those meetings. The budget committee meets almost every week. They're open public meetings.
I know that.
Public meetings. I don't know how much more participatory we can get as we go through this process.
Yeah, and I think it's because we just do it one way, so we think that's the way that we do it. But like, there's communities that will do things like, let's go for, I'm not joking, so don't laugh at me, like, let's go for a bike ride, and like 10 people will go for a bike ride together, and one of them will be like a decision maker. Or they have things called like pub blah blah blah, and you go out for like a beer with the people who make decisions and talk like people. And I believe that we need more of that, because although people are coming up and speaking, it's very one way. It's not, it's constrained by the rules, by Robert's rules, and it's also constrained by a lot of stress that people are feeling about wanting to set the record straight or not feel disparaged or protect what they think is their story or their perspective. And I would like to see openness about more ways of opening up our meetings other than the ways that we've already been doing it. And I'm saying that here tonight because I believe it all connects with each other. I hear everything you're saying about all the other meetings, but nonetheless people are not going in large numbers to these meetings, and I believe it's because people would rather stay at home and not feel stressed out. So if we can figure out more friendly ways to add to what we're already doing, to bring more people in and make them feel comfortable and help them understand what the process is, I think that would be positive. So I'm saying it proactively for next year.
We actually do that now. If you came to a budget committee, no mics. It's at town hall,
Mhm.
the head of the departments come, and it's interactive.
And how many people from the community come to those, would you say?
No one.
Right, and so that's,
Very, very few.
right. So an example, I have a friend who lives in Barrington, and for their budget committee, I think they do 3 meetings, and they do educational meetings, and then they do an entire town meeting where they discuss, but it's not so like fragmented. I'm not sure exactly what their approach
Right,
is.
but it's not.
Yeah.
So you have to come to one meeting, and it's exactly as you described it, is what we do. You just have to come.
Right, but,
That's what we do.
but I don't,
It's no
so
lights,
if
nothing.
nobody comes, then I used to be on the planning board, and very few people would come unless there was a very, type of content that would get people really riled up. And I used to say, well, we need to reach out to people and have charrettes and have educational sessions. So I think I would be very interested, and I believe other people I'm communicating.
Exactly what we do, informational
Right.
sessions, we sit with department heads.
But if
they
nobody
tell us-
comes, then we need to figure out how to get them to come. That's what I'm saying. It sounds like you have a structure for it, but maybe not an outreach mechanism. I don't know. If nobody comes, that says something. That does say something if nobody comes.
You seem very interested, and you never came. So how do you want to get people to come?
I don't know. That's why I'm saying this. That's exactly why I'm saying this.
What are you suggesting? What do you want us to do?
I think I would like to have us look at all these pieces in a more holistic way and figure out, like, I don't know who's here from Engagement or Smithfield, but figure out how to get people to think it's actually fun to go to those. And how do they think it's fun? Maybe have food, maybe have beverages, have childcare. When we had our community conversation on energy infrastructure, one of the things that people around the table said was, if you're a